Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. I'm Gerry. I have Max here. Max, hello.
Hi, Jerry.
You can tell there's a tone we're affecting right now.
It's like bad weather.
Yeah, I
It,
mean, we have it here in North Carolina right now. It's a very gray day, you know?
yeah, it's the same in Manchester. It's always like that in Manchester, though.
I was gonna say I've heard these things. Like maybe you have a few
Yeah,
more gray days than we do here in North
always.
Carolina. But yeah, our tone really isn't that much affected by the weather, though. It's more of the non-game we saw on Saturday.
Mm.
Yeah, it was not
Well,
a
very, just the opposite of competitive.
yeah. I would even say
Chris-
not competitive because that's the opposite. You see,
Mm.
I
I
was an
know.
English
Just
major.
caught up with me.
No,
Just
go.
caught up with me.
What was that?
Just caught up with me words. I'm thinking, what is the opposite of it? But
No,
you
that's
know,
that was just me
the
being a
English,
dumbass.
the English major hits the nail on the
Oh
head.
yeah, by saying not. That's being a dumbass. Sorry. Uh, so we do have a lot to cover today. So our City match reaction. We've seen Edward's instant match reaction, and he's not so happy. Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of watching. It was almost like watching Barcelona versus like West Brom. You know
Mm.
what I mean? One team sitting back, trying to park the bus, just chill, and the other team just connecting passes, and the defending team not even attempting to take the ball. That's what really frustrated me. And
The
the thing is, if Rooney or Schneiderlin had pressed, they're so slow that City would have just gone around them and played around them, and it would have left big openings in the middle.
we saw that for the second goal, if I'm not mistaken. Phil Jagielka rushed out, and I think it was Leroy Sané who knocked the ball over his head, quite literally, and ended up setting Jesus up, I think. But City were playing such a high line. That was something that I noticed straight away, and I think that's something that Guardiola deploys really to have most of the football played in the opposition half, and we didn't try and counter that in any way. We stuck with this long ball approach, and really, when I say this is Pep Guardiola versus Sam Allardyce, it literally was that. It was this clash of philosophies,
Yeah.
and we saw how flexible and fluid one can be, and how damaging the other can be, and the fact that it doesn't combat against these different systems. And I think it just goes to show that he's just way out of his depth at Everton.
Yeah. Um, I was angry the second that the team came out. As soon as I saw it, I said, this is too slow. This is too slow. There's no way you should be playing Schneiderlin and Rooney as kind of a center mid pairing together without a very quick defensive presence. You know, the only way, and frankly, I mean, I sound like I'm just completely harping on him. He didn't have the worst game I've seen him play this season, but Schneiderlin, I think, was the person who should not have been starting.
I know, I agree. I've got a piece coming out on Morgan Schneiderlin soon. I wrote about it, and as soon at the end of that, after that match, I was already writing the piece, but that match kind of just put the cherry on the top of the cake for me. There was so much for me to go off from it. I mean, I think Fernandinho took something around 187 touches. I think Schneiderlin only got around 32,
Yeah.
and I think particularly in this day and age in the Premier League, I think whoever you've got holding midfield can sum up how you play. I feel, and the the casual. It's amazing to watch Fernandinho. I think he's been by a mile the best holding midfield in the league so far. His casual nature. You see it with, I mean, they're not doing as well, but N'Golo Kante and his energy at Chelsea. But and you look at Everton and you just think, Morgan Schneiderlin, he doesn't do himself any favours. He just coasts through these games when you really think, for the sake of his reputation and, for the sake of the World Cup in the summer, he move himself about and he try and repair his reputation, because we all know that's not in the greatest of places at the minute. But yeah, I think that was the final nail in the coffin with Schneiderlin for me, as far as I'm concerned, because they had his back for a very long time. But particularly, he used to play for Manchester United, as did Wayne Rooney, coming up against your old rivals. You'd expect, a bit of fire in the belly and a bit of aggression, and we just didn't show any signs of that at all.
Yeah, and to be fair, Rooney didn't have his best game either. He actually had one of the worst games that I've seen him play this season, because City were pressing and forcing us to play a lot of defense. Rooney wasn't on the ball much, hence he's having to play a lot of defense, and he cannot stay with any of City's attacking players in terms of speed. He just can't. He needed somebody to cover his ass, and that was supposed to be Schneiderlin, who plays with zero intensity and zero aggression. So that's the thing. A lot of people say he didn't play that. Schneiderlin didn't play that bad, but did you really see him sprinting and trying to win that ball back with reckless abandon?
Exactly, and that's what you need exactly against Manchester City. You need that intensity and aggression in your play, and I feel like any other club in the country coming up against the champions elect, you should be fired up and ready for the game that it is. But if we just kind of again, this expected loss, I think, is all that Sam chalks it down as. But my point about this is, as Evertonians, we expect to see our team go into games and compete. Doesn't matter who it's against. We expect to see us compete. If we get beat, we get beat. But Everton are one of those teams that are expected to compete no matter where they go. And just looking at the possession stats, I know a lot of people say possession doesn't mean everything, but the possession stats spoke more about the game than what the scoreline did, as you said earlier.
Yeah. Can we both agree where the match got less disgusting? The tiny turning point where it seemed like we actually started giving it a little bit of a go. I don't know how long it lasted, really. Can we both agree that where that was? Do you know where I'm thinking?
The Balassi goal?
Just before it, we take out Rooney, and we bring in Davies. All right? Davies, I will give credit to Davies. He actually was actually trying to win the ball back. I actually thought the game was more tolerable for a short period of time when we actually did press their goal a little bit. Didn't last long, but
and in that a while ago, I wrote a piece on Davies after the Watford game when we got beat by Watford, and again, I remember writing, and because something that I thoroughly believe, that whenever Davies is on the pitch, and if it's a game where we've been beat or we haven't played well, he always tends to be the one shining light of a performance, because it's that effort and that energy that he brings to the pitch. And again, I know there was a lot of people saying before the game that the game was possibly not suited to him due to the amount of time that he loses the ball and how he can be caught out. But I think we'll both agree that coming up against Manchester City, you need that type of energy that he's got. And again, you'll probably agree again that he should have been in the place of Schneiderlin and would have provided more as well. It was just completely and utterly disappointing with how we performed in that game. As Edward said in his match reaction, we just sat off and let them play the game, and you can't do that against Manchester City. They're one of the best teams that I've ever seen.
We let them play. It was like, I mean, honestly, here we call it keep away. I think, do y'all call it keep ball? We were basically just, and we, it was very frustrating to watch, and it was an awful game to watch as a neutral, I would think. No, I can't even
As,
say that because I thought City played some good football for their
yeah,
goals. So as a
they
neutral,
did.
you get to watch one team.
As a neutral, yeah, as I was sitting there at the game, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, Everton are getting absolutely battered here, but try and observe this as a neutral. Try and observe this Manchester City team in full flow, and
Yeah,
for periods of the game. I think that's all you could do really. All you could do is sit and admire what they were doing.
yeah.
They certainly made us look silly. I mean, our wingers were playing as fullbacks at times. It was like we had about six at the back.
Yeah. Um, Personally, I would have started. I actually would have had Davies in for DCL, and I would have had Baningame in for Schneiderlin, because I think he provides the speed in the back. Davies usually gives us more of a spark when, like we said this like 100 times this season, when he's not forced to be the main defensive presence.
Yeah,
When you've
yeah,
got a more defensive-minded player back there, and he can kind of go forward, and he was allowed to do that on Saturday.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's the way I would have approached it. I think we would have had a little more of a chance. But
Again,
honestly,
yeah.
but I don't know if the mentality of the whole team was ready, was where it needed to be.
No, because after a lot of defeats this season, we've took them to heart, and we've thought, oh God, that's quite possibly one of the worst defeats we've ever seen us suffer. But I said you'd be wrong to overreact to a defeat by this Manchester City team. What I do take issue with though is the way we set up, the way the manager has set them up, and what the manager's told them to do. It was it's very clear that the manager said, when we kick off, play the long ball, who get as many men up as you can and play the long ball. It was clear that the manager would have told them, stand off. Because they're managerial instructions. They're what you're told to do by your manager. And it was as a team we were standing off. It wasn't as if
It's almost as though they were told, keep them in front of you. Keep them in front of you. Just make sure they're not getting past you, which is hilarious that Schneiderlin for the first goal didn't track and allowed, was it David Silva to get that cross? Like literally, I think David Silva did a 1-2, ran behind Schneiderlin, who just kind of didn't track with him at all. And it's just tough to watch that kind of shit, man. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I felt like Baines, although, I mean, I'm like one of Leighton Baines' biggest fans. I love him. I think he's awesome. I mean, that was my first kit,
Yeah.
But I think he was exposed a little bit in terms of speed.
Yeah, and that's why I saw Yannick Bolasie, covering him so much, because Bolasie was the only one really that could, catch up to the likes of Sane and Sterling. Something like that. I know we didn't mention it, but for that first goal, how is the man that's playing on the left side managed to find himself space on the right shore, and it was a lovely finish by Leroy Sane of the volley, but again it goes down to the positional awareness of the players, who's tracking him, who's shouting, there's your man. And hope we've it's Derby week, and we all know how much Derby weeks and Derby games can take out of us, so we can't let this we can't mull over this for too long, because a Derby win could restore a bit of pride into in the season. But again, it's been such a forgetful and underwhelming season.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't just help but just nod my head. So we did get some reactions. The Toffee Blues Facebook account asked for some reactions to the match, and here's a few of them. John Paul Tully said, "First time in a long time we haven't took it to City." It's true, because we didn't take it to them. They literally took it to us the entire time. Paulette Martin said, this type of kick in law enforcement is considered deadly force. I'm assuming she's talking about City using deadly force on us. Danny Crocker said, outplayed in our own home. City played with pure class, nothing more to it. Big changes needed from us. Yeah. Alan Doolin said, game was over after 12 minutes. Pretty much. Dean Holmes said, hey, we got beat by arguably the best team in the world. And Carol Pearl said, us the boys, them the professionals. So,
yeah.
I mean, I understand all those reactions. Now to Twitter, which the prompt was a little bit different. 3-word reaction. Owen Parks and Ian Simcox both said the same thing. Roll on May. I agree with all of these, right, by the way.
Yeah.
Ironies, I guess that's how, said championship league quality. I understand that. Alexandra Greenway said, and this is one of my favorites, a complete omnishambles. I've never heard that term before, and she may have just coined it. I don't know. I think it's great.
Well, add that to the dictionary of our new phrases.
Omnishambles and not competitive. There you go, folks. So, descendant of Ruanad, I'm not pronouncing that right, said destined to fail because we were. The way we set up, it was destined to fail. That's totally true. Steve L. said Davies must start. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Nicola McCown, I guess. Nicola McCown said chased shit. I'm sorry, I'm going to say shitty instead of city like 5 times today. Chased city's shadows, which, again, that's true. Paul Tran said where to start. Yeah, because, I don't know where to start on this. Boy Wonder Baxter said played musical statues. Luke, and I don't get this. Maybe you get this, but I think the fact that it doesn't make sense is why I love it. Luke says sesame seed buns.
It's probably more entertaining than watching Everton.
That's maybe. I just thought I like the idea of somebody saying sesame seed buns and having it not apply at all. I love it. And Stay S-T-E Saint. I don't know. Steve Baird. Let's say that. Steve Baird says, and you're gonna have to tell me what this means. I just think it's funny. Utter piss flaps. I don't know what that means. It just sounds disgusting.
We weren't very good.
Yeah, see, that's the way I interpreted it, but I wasn't sure if it had some disgusting meaning that I didn't know about, because it sounds dirty and gross and...
Yeah, one of them.
Seedy. So, all right. So, I think, that's a lot of stuff I think we have to agree on, although our word uses may not be the same. I think we'll all think of, whenever we think of our loss against City next year, we'll think sesame seed buns. So, you got anything else on this, man? I think I'm tapped out on this.
3-word, roll on May.
Roll on May. Yeah. Yes. So that is all for our City match reaction. If you like our videos, please subscribe. We are close to about 620, so we're rising up to 700. Goal is still 1,000. So whether or not that's realistic, who knows? But it's good to have goals, right? So yeah. Leave a like, leave a comment, all that hot stuff. Check out Max's analysis on the Toffee Blues website. He just plugged 2 of his recent pieces on there within this video. So go back and read them so you know what he's talking about.
Just good reference points, really.
It wasn't an intentional plug. I use the word plug like Max is plugging himself all the time.
It was reference points of this shambolic season.
Yeah. It's true. So anyway, go back and read it so you get it. Yeah, and that's all I have. So we got more videos to make. So we're going to go now. Bye.